Well,
I know that's actually, I skipped that one. They felt like it was pointed at somebody else's reason.
Okay, guys, it's 5 o'clock. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mike, would you like to start us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tomorrow's my birthday again. I have 2 birthdays every November.
Really?
6th is when I was born, and the 10th is Marine Corps.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate you joining us on Zoom. Chairman Jenny David has been tied up at work, so she won't be here tonight. And then also Shannon Davison asked me to let everybody know she had a situation at work and she will not be here tonight as well. So we have the approval of the agenda. We do that, Tim. I mean, we don't really.
You can actually declare it approved.
Okay. Agenda is approved. Does anybody have any declaration of conflicts of interest? Okay. Has anybody ever been able to review the October 12th meeting minutes?
I did.
That's just, we just got it in our packet. That wasn't emailed, was it, Tim? It was emailed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read through them all. Move to approve.
You approve? Okay. Can I get a second?
Second, Kathy Dollard.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, everybody say aye.
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 Okay. Opioid settlement community assessment, technical assistant consultation, Rihanna Merrill.
Hello.
Hi,
how you
Rihanna.
doing?
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. What do you got for us?
Today I wanted to kind of go over where you guys would like to start thinking about doing surveys and who you might want to be doing focus groups with. Our team has kind of question banks that I can pull from to put those initial ones together for you guys, but wanted to get an idea of, if you're thinking we could do a survey for those with lived experience somewhere, or maybe a focus group with those in recovery, just to get an idea of what you guys think is best since it's your community.
Based on our conversation at the last meeting, I don't know about focus groups. I'm not really all that familiar with them. But we did, I think, a pretty decent job of identifying people who are literally on the front line, whether they are people who are suffering from opioid addictions or recovery or practitioners.
Yeah.
And they really seem to be like the group that's going to be very helpful to us. Now, just Rihanna, you sent us some links after one of the meetings. And I clicked on one that was just full of information. It was from 2020, so it's probably the most recent that's available. But it gave a lot of good statistics on where Ogemaw County stood in terms of the number of overdose fatalities that occurred in that year, and put us in a ranking order with all the other counties in Michigan. And I thought that was just fantastic as far as focusing on where some of the issues are. There were some other breakdowns that had it by I think it was by age group, but it wasn't broken down by age. We had talked about that at the last meeting, trying to get the youth broken out. It wasn't quite to that level, but I suspect there's some data someplace that might do that. The data itself, the credibility looked like it was top of the line. It looked like it came from hospital reports, things that just really looked very helpful in terms of focusing on what the issues are in our county. Now, we kind of touched on one of our meetings about, joining forces with other counties too, but it was really nice just to see where we were. And it also looked at comparisons to, poverty level and just really helped us just zero in on where the, primary, challenges are in our county. So I think all that put together with this group that we might want to survey, I think we're going to potentially have a pretty big impact, at least in terms of getting the root of what the issue is here in this county.
Absolutely. Now, Tim, those individuals I know aren't here tonight. I know Shannon was one of them.
Right.
Who was the other lady that's been here? Because
There was Sharon St. Germain. She works for Dr. Khan in Dr. Khan's office. He is a physician who does a lot of addictions medicine. She's a nurse in addictions medicine. And then Sonia Reisner was there, and she's a recovery coach.
Yeah.
And she works at My Michigan. We have a services agreement with Catholic Human Services, so they are her employer, but she works with us.
Okay.
And then there was a couple of folks from the Northern Michigan Opioid Response Consortium, Joyce Petro, and she's the program director for that coalition, along with Dave McGraham, who is the medical director. So they were both in attendance as well.
We have on here tonight Sam Price from 1016, another resource within the community of regional. I think Sam, you were based in Mount Pleasant there for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Shannon reached out to me. Yeah, we have a presence across mid-Michigan. We have a cooperation agreement with My Michigan, so we have a staff persons actually in the emergency department there in West Branch. And we have a small outpatient clinic in Standish. And we have a full-time clinic in Gladwin too. So we're nearby, and Shannon wanted me to kind of just join the group to see if there might be a role that we could play in some of your conversations.
If I could jump in, there was another group that I was speaking with recently that had some interest in giving feedback. Rihanna might be somebody you would want to talk with, is a federally qualified health center. It's Mid-Michigan Community Health Services. Their main office is in Roscommon County, I think.
Yeah, we're in Houghton Lake.
Houghton Lake. But they are going to be opening a satellite clinic in West Branch. I know that they have some interest in Dr. McMorrow is an addictionologist, and so he might be somebody, and his team. Dana Schock, I think, is the administrative person that I was talking to.
Yeah, Kathy, we appreciate you bringing that up. Dana's here tonight.
Oh, great. Awesome. I can't really see who's in the room. It's
No,
like, they're tiny.
So, I mean, I guess what kind of information are you guys looking for? I mean, we have a solid population from this county in our clinic. I mean, I can chat with patients, or I guess what kind of information are you guys looking for?
Brianna, maybe you can help us with some sample questions maybe that we've used for a survey.
Yeah, of course. I have a list, it's not pulled up right now, but of survey or focus group questions that would be applicable maybe to like a provider like yourself. For focus groups, they would just technically, just to explain it a bit, because I know some of you mentioned you didn't have a lot of experience with them. It's essentially a group conversation that we would kind of lead. So I would have a few questions to guide the conversation, but it's mostly just listening is what it really is focused on. So just sitting down with maybe providers or the team from that office and just hearing what their experiences are in their day-to-day work within the county.
Yeah, I mean, we can absolutely help out with that. Whoever you would need, I can arrange that with our office, no problem.
Awesome.
So before you leave tonight, we'll get your.
Yeah.
Well, you've been in touch with Tim, right?
Yeah.
So we could get that set up. Okay.
Just a technical question. So when you do a focus group, do you usually just have like one entity at a time, or do you pull together what you say, well, we want Mid-Michigan, My Michigan, 1016, all I don't know, the different providers all in a room together to have that conversation, or you go to each place to have it? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, no, of course. We've actually done it both ways. It just depends on the county and how many providers are interested. We like to keep focus groups between 6 to 10 individuals so that everyone gets a good chance to speak. So if we have more than that interested, we would probably split it up by the provider. But if there's maybe 2 to 3 from each, we could pull together one kind of more broad focus group. And I think that would also really get the same point across.
Good question. Amy, can you give us a MAC update, please?
Yeah, hey everyone. Not too much happening right now in the settlement space. We do know that you all received, I think, with the agenda and the minutes, the updated amounts for J&J and distributors, as those have been increased from the Attorney General's office. And the Opioid Advisory Commission, who sits really under the legislature, currently is doing listening sessions that are virtual and open to anyone in the public. They're doing that on a weekly basis. And they do have an open survey for anyone in the entire state to try to have voices from every community heard for their recommendations that will go out in January, although the listening sessions will continue well beyond that point. MDHHS has also made their opioid settlement website live. Why that's so important is because that is where the information about any upcoming funding opportunities will be. At this point, none of the requests for proposals that the state has put out are counties are not eligible, basically. That's not to say they won't be in the future, but I know we also have a lot of other agencies and providers in the room where you may be able to find those. So if you haven't seen that website yet, I'm happy to send along that link and information about the Opioid Advisory Commission as well. I'm just, meeting with counties regularly, and here at any point, if you all are in need of some additional technical assistance. Some of the counties I'm working with have just started countywide strategic planning efforts, seeing some other communities just developing their steering committees. So really anything across the board that can happen. And I think that's really it. No real changes. We're keeping the Opioid Settlement Resource Center website updated in real time. So you're able to see if anything has changed on there as well. But please let me know what support I can provide you all.
Amy, I have a question for you. You're obviously working with a number of different counties regarding this. Are you seeing some counties at a stage where they're quite a bit farther ahead of us, where they're actually at the point where they're taking dollars out and actually putting it into certain areas right now, or?
Yeah, we've got folks that are behind you and we've got folks that are ahead of you. And I would say, potentially 6 months behind you and a year ahead of you in terms of the timeline that I expect to see here.
Okay. From some of the people that are ahead of us, do you have any suggestions for us? Some things that you're seeing maybe like at a consistent level that some of these counties are doing that looks like it's very valuable?
Yeah, I think what has been the most valuable is really the work that MSU's been doing with the needs assessment. So with Rihanna being able to do both surveys that go out to the folks in your community, as well as focus groups, pulling in that information and data about actual community members, it does a couple different things. It adds to your ability to develop a landscape analysis, a gap inventory, those tools where you'll be able to help identify what are the priorities for the county. Obviously, there's a lot of experts in the room, but missing those community voices, I think also is creating a problem in some counties I'm working with. Folks really do want to feel heard on this topic. We know that, everybody has been impacted. So I think once that needs assessment report comes back from MSU, that is really where folks are really getting into identification of the priorities.
Yeah, thank you. Sounds to me like we really need to get this needs assessment in order to get this focus group structure set up. That's probably our next biggest step.
Yeah. And Rihanna, how would you go about that again? I mean, is that something that you would coordinate here? You'd have to play a role in that somehow?
I would make myself or another team member available, give you guys a list of availability for hosting focus groups. I would ask you to coordinate a little bit just because you have those connections and I don't. So it's helpful to have you guys kind of be a good middle ground for me to talk to know who we're trying to reach out to. But I can get started on putting together some availability and some recommendations for focus groups, and you guys I'll email them to you and you can let me know if I'm missing anyone from them. And then if you'd like to just kind of start sending emails to individuals that you think would be able to participate in those focus groups, that would be great.
And I think we can use our committee members to really develop a pretty comprehensive list. So we should be able to get some good participation.
Yeah, and just to add on what I was saying quickly, I do have a planning process document that was shared with all of the administrators a long time ago that I can re-forward to you all. It's really a packet that really walks through each step, but more in terms of questions. So you don't need to follow any of them, but they may spark additional ideas for you all.
So with that being said, Tim, can you kind of be the quarterback, or do you want to work with a few other committee members to kind of be quarterbacks to find out who all wants to be in this for our focus groups, and then?
Right now, just in thinking now of the group we have here tonight, the group we had last time as well. Just a wealth of contacts, and so what I'd like to do is kind of be like the clearing house, if you will, but work through those members because they know who the individuals are that would be very helpful on the committee. We've been talked about at length about having people who have suffered from opioid issues, part of that. So because they really are on the ground and really knew what the needs were out there themselves. I think this can be a very valuable group of people. And I think the participants here knew who they were. They've already got the trust built.
Right.
And maybe even having some of their organizations host these focus groups. So it's an environment they're familiar with. Coming in here, maybe, it just isn't something that would, a lot of people would be comfortable with. But if somebody else had we were talking about what's Catholic Services, maybe had a space that people were used to coming to.
Yeah.
Maybe they would use that and they could just kind of coordinate the meeting for that group and bring the data back to us.
Yeah.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, so that was Sonia and Shannon, right?
Right.
Front lines, and Dawn, you're really in the front lines as well, right?
Yeah, I'm happy, I can pull my providers in on it. We have patients that are in the county that I'm sure would, and if there's surveys you want resources for, I know we get a lot of great feedback from our patients. Like one of the things we started was a community closet because of our patients asking for needs. So it's all like donations, but when you're struggling, some of those essentials are hard to come by. So
Right.
knowing that you can go to a place and get those things and it's available and you're not being judged for it is a huge thing.
Right. And you're seeing a lot of Ogemaw County residents coming to Houghton Lake because that's the closest for them right now.
Yeah, we have quite a few. So that's why we're hoping bringing a satellite location will ease up on transportation's a pretty horrific issue for our patient population too. So cutting that out, bus prices are going up too, so that only gets harder.
And December 1st is when you guys are shooting for that to be running?
Yep.
And you're gonna be pretty much running that then, or?
Yeah, I'll be over there, so.
Excellent.
And something else I can do is get some of that data I had mentioned earlier, and it's kind of overwhelming the way it's presented, but I could certainly peel out the Ogemaw statistics and then get that to the group. So we've even got those numbers to work with, and of course share that with Brianna and Amy as well. But again, that's just going to, I think, bolster what we learned through the survey too, and really help us target what we need in the community.
Right. Yeah, for sure. What do we want to just kind of go around the room and see if anybody's got any thoughts or anything that we can?
Yeah.
You want to start, Sam? Thanks again for being with us tonight. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us right now regarding what we're doing here?
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention was we were involved in a kind of a regional needs assessment for the area.
Hey, Sam, we're having a really hard time. We heard you good the first time, but we can't hear you very well right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. We were involved in a regional needs assessment a couple of years ago with some funds through the Health Endowment Fund. And so we have quite a bit of research available on some of the use patterns in Ogemaw County, as well as some of the surrounding spaces over the last several years based on substance of misuse at admission for people that were coming in through the public system. That I'd be glad to pass on to Tim for distribution. We also did, as a part of that, some focus groups with, I think, 50 people from the region in Ogemaw and Aranac and whatnot, with lived experience, so people in recovery. And so we can pass on some of that information to Rihanna for her work. So I'd be glad to share all of the different slices of data that might be kind of helpful in looking at some of your work. So I'll be glad to offer all that up.
Thank you, Sam. We appreciate it. Kathy?
Hello, so, we do have a little bit of data too. I think I shared some of it, like just people who are coming into our emergency department, so it's more timely, I would say, and how many people are coming in and for, for substance use, or if they're coming in for, because of an overdose or things like that. And, like Sam said, he has a person with lived experience that works in our emergency department. So I think that person, she would be a good person to talk to have be on the one of those groups that Rihanna facilitates, because she sees a lot of people and she knows a lot. And and also Sonia, who works with us. I think those are your key people to try to find others with lived experience, because I do think that's a voice, and maybe families, a family voice is a really important voice that I don't see at the table all the time. Because I mean, we all certainly know people who have family members who've been struggling with this issue. Also, just on a happy note, we did finally open our medical withdrawal management detox in Clare at our hospital. It's been many, many years in the making, and we've had our first patient. And so I'm happy to say that that's finally a resource for our region. So that's all I have.
Great. Well, thank you, Kathy. We appreciate you being a part of this.
Oh, my
Uh,
pleasure.
Good evening, Jenny. Do you have anything for us?
I don't. Good evening. I apologize. I can't be there in person. I just got stuck at work. Pretty busy day. But anyways, no, I think it's great. All these resources that are coming. I think that needs assessment will give us a direction to go in. I guess I might have missed it, and I apologize if I did. Is there a timeline that we're looking at getting the results of this needs assessment?
I do not have a timeline right now. I can put one together for you guys just based on our discussion here today about getting these focus groups started. Just to give you an idea of what we're expecting to be looking at. It might change depending on how many of these focus groups we set up. More means that we have more data to look at, but it also means that it takes a little bit longer to comb through. So just keeping that in mind, I can put something together for you all.
Yeah, that'd be great. I definitely think we're at a point now where, these focus groups this information is what we need to be able to keep moving this forward. So, Amy, do you have anything else for us right now?
Not right now, but I'm sure I'll think of something before the end of the meeting.
Okay. Mike, anything to share?
So when we start talking about people from focus groups, I'm very well connected in the emergency departments with Osable Valley and with the EMS. So even the volunteers at the fire departments, they come from a very diverse professions. So I think I can reach out and look at the potential of getting people in to focus groups from that area, if that's what we're trying to do at the moment. If we're looking for people with experience with difficulty of addictions, then we have a couple houses here in West Branch that house people for rehab and whatnot. Obviously, the HIPAA and all of that, but I do know people who can actually ask those people, they're caregivers, they can actually ask those people if they would be interested in participating if we're looking for that demographic also.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think we need all those demographics that you mentioned.
So anyhow, I can reach out to those resources.
Okay, perfect.
So,
Don?
I know the other, obviously there's privacy issues with substance use, patients, but if we even looked into doing like surveys to provide for them where they, you know, if we know that they are housed within our county, they can at least provide information, but maybe not necessarily have to present themselves with having substance use, because not everybody is aware that they're in treatment or dealing with those issues because of all the stigma with it. So it's just another option, but I'm sure we get a ton of feedback from our patients, and they provide a wealth of information to us, so I think it would be great.
That's a good point.
Where's the information being posted for, like, the information that Amy's gonna post or forward to us? Where can we locate that? Because I haven't been receiving emails.
I think the material that Amy has, they've got a website at MAC. I can get that out to everybody in the group. And I think I got some things from Rihanna as well, a lot of web links to go to get some of this data. And I can certainly redistribute those with ease.
Thank you.
Scott?
Yeah, thanks for having me again, guys. I have, I'm a local epi, so I have a lot of different data sources, things like that. A lot of what I could provide may be duplicated in things other people are sharing, so I would like to see those too, so I can maybe fill in some gaps. A lot of what I have is going to be stuff that's like publicly available. There's a possibility I could grab some more stuff, but then a lot of the data that I get in that isn't publicly available, I have to check if it's going to be identifiable or things of that nature before I share it. So I'll have to run through and check and see if there's things that I can share on that end as well. When it comes to the survey, I was wondering if I could ask a couple questions about what the methodology that we're planning on using is. So I assume this is going to be virtual, that we're going to share it online.
Yes, the surveys we've done so far have been virtual, but we're able to convert them to paper format if needed.
Okay, so if we do have people who have like, I don't have a phone, I don't have a computer, we can give them a paper copy.
Yeah, of course.
Online, what platform are you intending to use for the data capture?
MSU uses Qualtrics.
Okay, good. Okay, that's a good one. That sounds good. And then I was wondering, and this is just something I've been thinking of because I've done a couple surveys since the pandemic, and it seems like these things are getting harder and harder to do because everyone's online. It can go around the globe. And a lot of times if we are offering some sort of incentive to try to get answers, we've found that we'll have people from like South Africa and South Asia who are just filling it out with whatever they can just to try and get to that end goal, to try to get that like $50 gift card or whatever it ends up being. Is that something that you've run into maybe with some of these other counties? Is that something that you've found a way to kind of protect against?
We have used, first is the measures that Qualtrics has of preventing duplicate responses. We've implemented the CAPTCHAs as well to prevent against bots. And then within the surveys, we're asking to verify zip code, which we found to be pretty useful in feeding those out. That way we can confirm, one, that they're actually within the county, and two, that they're not far without the state trying to take the survey too.
Okay. Okay, I just was wondering what we were thinking about that. That sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Can I
Excellent.
ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
I love having an epi in the room. I get really excited. So is there any opportunity to look at the My Celerity data specific to the county?
Yeah, I do have access to My Celerity. That's exactly what I was thinking of when I'm like, I can get that data, but I'm going to have to check and make sure it's not identifiable data that I can share out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Good deal. Tim, you got anything?
Yeah, what I've already said, I did want to just point out the last handout that's there of Amy had mentioned it, the increase in settlement funds, and just the math of this just amazes me. Our increase percentage was, I've got the decimal in the right place, and I think I do. was 2,024 billionths of a percent. That sounds like a grain of sand, you know, but it's $264,742 to us.
Yeah.
So it's pretty significant. So that just amazed me when that came across, that what they do with that percentage, they divide that amongst everybody across the country that's getting a piece of the settlement. So that's our piece. But that's, you know, to us, and the grand total is over 2 million now over the life of the settlement. That's real money to this county.
Oh, absolutely. So over the life of the complete settlement, Ogemaw County, how much again?
Well, just for these two, and this is distributor in Jansen, is $2,192,402.05. But that's over an 18-year period, and Jansen is, and Amy can correct me, I think they're ones that will be making like 5 years worth of payments up front. And so it's not gonna be like a consistent amount each one of those years, but there's a few other settlements in there, Walgreens, Walmart, and all the others that are going into this as well. Of course, the county set up a special fund to track just this. So whatever needs to do go with the opioid settlement, it's segregated from every other dollar the county has. So it'll be there, but that's what the total will be at the end of all this.
Yeah. And currently, what do we have?
It's over 500,000 now. I meant to look that up before I got here, but just with the payments that have come in, and another $45,000 payment came in here just in the last couple of weeks. But it's over 500,000 that's sitting there right now.
Cool. This
The,
might, go ahead, Amy.
I'm sorry, the estimated total for the county, conservative estimate would be 3.4 million over the 18 years. With that additional 200, it'll be 3.6 million. I don't have the full updated numbers from the AG's office yet, but they will be sending that to me. And yes, everything you said is correct. The funds may come in at different timeframes. The amount of money in each payment will be different. So it's really about how much money is the county comfortable spending on an annual basis to ensure the time frame.
All right, I have a question for Rihanna. For when you're setting up these focus groups, and I know obviously it changes depending on how big the focus group is and how many you have to break down. But typically, how long have you been experiencing these to take to really get the data that you need and then be able to make your assessment?
Yeah, so are you asking about the process of getting from focus group to report?
Yes.
Okay. I would say setting up the focus groups takes about 1 week. Completing all the focus groups has been taking 2 to 3 weeks. Coding the focus groups is the part that's going to change a little bit, but I would roughly estimate it takes about a month on average to get those coding done. So I would say maybe about 2 months from here to final report. That's also considering any qualitative analysis or quantitative analysis that we do, so surveys and looking at those results as well. But I think that 2 months is about there, and I'm not considering the fact that the holiday season is coming up right now either, but that's about what we would be looking at.
Thank you. Tim, how do you want to do this, Tim, when it comes to this? No, we know where the point we're at right now, and we want to start all the people that are here tonight, all the people that have been here. We want them to start bringing in who they would like to see as part of these focus groups. What do you feel is the best way to set this up structural wise? Everything come to you and then you send it out, or?
That's probably best. I'll wait from Rihanna to get the schedule of the personnel from their availability, and share that with everyone and just say, okay, here's the availability dates. What can we match with you? So whatever arena we want to hold these, and I'll just use Mike because he's right there in my line of sight. So if you're going to be at EMS, we have availability with MSU people on these dates. This date works best for EMS. I'd hand that right off to you and just go ahead and take that, make it happen. And just do the same thing with all the different organizations that we've talked about or have access to, and have as many as you want, really. I mean, but it's going to come down to, do we need the MSU person here? How long can they be here? Maybe there's just pick a Wednesday and they can be here all day and we can do several of these. But that coordination is what's gonna be critical, because if Rihanna then has to try to quantify everything, it's gonna be important that everything we gather is in a format that she can quantify. So it's gonna be important that that participant is there, but I think just from that point, wherever we can go with this, and Scott, you may have some connections, through the health department, then, okay, you can, have maybe 2 or 3 focus groups, just depending on what different arenas you're in. But just get as much of this as we can. And I think just the more we can get, the closer to, accurate we're gonna be. So that would be my approach. I could imagine even the sheriff probably has some, right, just all of the deputies, as a focus group, they're out there in the community.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
anybody we can imagine, I try to encourage them to be a participant and gather what they've got to say.
Okay,
The jail system might be a good
Yeah.
contact as well. We do a lot of work with them.
Good point.
There's a lot of
Absolutely.
overlap between patients. and-
Captive audience there. So.
so basically right now then, we can just continue to brainstorm. And then we're gonna hear from you after you hear from Rihanna, and then we'll keep moving that.
Yeah, I think the critical component here is the availability of the people there from MSU. So other than that, once I can get that, we can just distribute that to everybody and say, here are some dates. And start signing up.
Okay.
Do we have a timeline of when that availability will start with the MSU people?
I think you're gonna let us know.
Okay,
Rihanna, how long does a focus group take? So we have a meeting, how long would that be?
Yeah, we like to schedule them for 2 hours as a maximum time. It depends on how talkative everyone is and how many people are there, but you can definitely fill up that entire time with a lot of information.
So looking forward to our next meeting then, would it be beneficial to have a meeting in the beginning of December? Or now that we have this direction, should we just focus on getting this information together and then set up a meeting for right after first of the year?
I think that'd be best. And that gives plenty of time between now and then to gather as much as we can. And then reconvene and look at what we got. I really think that's a good formula.
Okay.
I have a question. So are we looking for like one set plan that we're gonna set up to cover us throughout the years? Or are we looking for like a main project that maybe will take a little bit longer and maybe some smaller projects, just so I can kind of relay that information? You know what I mean? Because it could be something as simple as getting more Narcan into the community. That could be a smaller project.
I mean, I don't know, just from what I've seen over our last number of meetings, I think right now everything's just completely open.
Okay,
We're right. We don't have anything really committed. We're just kind of an open book, and we're trying to,
perfect. Yeah,
see where-
if we had a focus, I would, let the people know ahead of time.
Yeah,
So that way
no.
maybe they could come kind of
Yeah.
ready.
no focus right now, I wouldn't say.
But I envision after we get through this process of having a good plan, that's our guideline.
Yeah,
And that will be changing. It'll be fluid. If we suddenly get an influx of something else that gets our attention, well, we can be flexible enough to deal with that too.
perfect.
We'll
Yeah,
have a foundation that we work from, and that's so that when anybody questions how we're using our funding, well, here's the foundation that we're working from, and I'm sure that we'll have quantifiable data to show progress. And
Yeah, I
something's
just
not
didn't know if
working
we had to have a
redirect
set
ourselves.
Yeah.
planned and you couldn't deviate or.
Oh, no, that's a good question.
So.
Yeah.
so as and I hate to be the one mentioning all the stupid stuff, but so as I'm looking for these people, because I'm pretty decent at soliciting to get cooperation with people. So our real interests are not just opioids, but they're all addictions and mental health. I mean, these focus groups, we want them, thinking about literally just all addictions and mental health and trying to come up with ideas to help that within the society, correct? I mean, am I on the right page with where we're headed here?
Yeah, my suggestion would be all substance use disorders and co-occurring substance use and mental health conditions. So I wouldn't do mental health necessarily on its own, but co-occurring disorders. So that way you're still aligning with Exhibit E and the definition of opioid remediation. Or not
Right.
Exhibit E,
So-
but the definition.
So where mental health connects to it. To
Correct.
the addictions, okay. So that way, as I go to talk to these people, one, I know people who know more about it than others, so, you know, using that to get them engaged.
Yeah.
Co-occurring with mental health and other substances.
Exactly.
Is huge, especially in this area.
Yeah.
Right.
I can pull some people in, I think.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate, Dawn, you showing up tonight. I think you've become a big part of this for us, especially now that you're right here vested in the area.
Yeah, so it'll be nice having something a little closer to home too, so,
You're an Ogemaw County resident?
yeah, I live over by the high school.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. And Sam, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Does anybody else have anything else to say right now? It sounds like what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait for the information from Rihanna to get to Tim. And then Tim's gonna be the quarterback on getting that out to the group. And we're gonna take next month off so we can continue to get these focus groups together and get the information that we need to Rihanna. And then I think what we should do in December, even through that email, we could set up our next meeting for January, couldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I'll get an announcement out for people who aren't here. Make sure they know not to show up in December.
Okay,
So,
okay, sounds good.
One additional thought I had is with canceling a meeting, obviously I know the holidays are there too, but I think while you all are moving forward with the focus groups, it may be a good time to make a formal request to all the providers in the group to see what data they do have available to share and to be able to ask for that data to be brought to, you know, the January meeting as well, or be submitted. So that way you all can share that with MSU and have that when you move into the next phase of planning.
So Amy, are you suggesting that we should stick with a meeting in December?
No, I just think, you know, anytime I cancel a meeting, I always double up on my action items.
Oh, okay.
So that's just the thought.
Oh, okay, I got you. No, thank you. That makes sense. Anybody else got anything?
I do, but it's not actually this. It was a comment that was made. I think it was you, Kathy, that was talking about Dr. McMorrow. So he used to be my medical director. I would love to reconnect with him.
He's
You
my
know, I
friend.
lost connection when he took off for his fellowship for the opioids. So, if you could reach out to him, I would love to connect to him again.
He's part of who we're opening the clinic with in West Branch. That's who I work with. Mhm.
Oh, fantastic.
And then two nurse practitioners.
I'm
So
there.
Kathy's the one that got me
So thank
in
you.
here, so,
Yep,
Yes.
yeah, I'd be happy to.
Very cool.
I love to be a connector, so I think you're sitting right next to the person who can probably get you right in touch with Dr. McMurrow.
I picked the right seat tonight.
There you go.
Excellent. Anybody got anything else before we end the meeting? No?
Thank you for inviting me.
Yep, thank you, everyone. We sure do appreciate it. You know, Tim will be in touch with everyone via email. Obviously, any questions, concerns, comments, always just send it to Tim and he can get them out to us. Other than that, we'll be in touch and everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I guess.
Thank you.
Here's my card. If you want to reach out,
Perfect.
I do a lot of our public information at the health department. I can get you in on that. And so your new
All right.
clinic will be like